Hello and welcome back to Creative Pet Keeping. This is video number 3 of the betta breeding series, and we continue by introducing the males to their spawning tanks. In the previous video, you got a closer look at both the males and the females that will be spawning, and today we will get a closer look at the tanks that they will be spawning in. Here I will be using two 5-gallon aquariums because I like to spawn my bettas in smaller tanks or containers because I've used a bucket before and all sorts of other things. But if we take a look at the back, I am also using a heater to make sure that the temperature is 80 degrees. And in the back there, you can see I have sponge filters that are powered, of course, by air, and I do have it on a little stronger now. This is probably as strong as I would let it be on, but I will be regulating it and dialing it down a bit. I like to keep sponge filters in my spawning tanks sometimes, but not all the time. I've tried both ways. Both ways work pretty well, but I like the security of having a sponge filter, and it is a great place for fry to catch their food as well, since a lot of microorganisms live in the filter. I will link a video that will fully explain why I set up all the different components in my spawning tanks in the cards as well as the end of the video, so be sure to watch that because today I'm going to focus on a couple different aspects of setting up the spawning tanks that don't pertain to specifically how you have to set up. More so, I want to talk about the fact that there are multiple ways that you can set up a spawn tank and there is no one perfect specific way. In this case, you can see that I'm using a much different material than before for my males to build a bubble nest under. I've used Indian almond leaves. I've had males build bubble nests in just a corner of a tank without anything on top. I've also used a bubble wrap, sometimes would even put an Indian almond leaf on top of that. So in this case, I am trying a different material, and I've even seen some breeders use half-cut styrofoam cups. The main goal is that you understand the concept behind the objects that we are choosing to use in our spawning tanks and their effects on the fish. The reason behind this is that it opens up the possibility of the hobby to grow and improve. We can be creative and explore different ways to do things better, but at the same time, our decisions can be logical and reasonable if we have good knowledge behind it. That will definitely improve the hobby. And if you take a closer look at the male that I am lifting up right over here in his cup, this is the Tancho male from the unicorn bucket baby spawn. He's definitely a beautiful unicorn as he shines and reflects all of the light. And I will place him in here so he can get temperature acclimated. And I have to brag a little bit, but look at that. I am so good at eyeballing the perfect amount of water to put in a cup so that it perfectly floats. Is this a cool skill or a difficult thing? Probably not. Maybe a bunch of you can do this and I just realized that, but that's totally okay. I'm gonna still feel pretty cool about it. Okay, back to the more serious talk. So when I choose things for my spawning tanks, I try to choose things that are useful. For example, I put a bunch of Indian almond leaves because not only will they have a lot of critters and microorganisms that will feed on them that the fry can then end up eating, which is really useful, but for example, the females will be able to hide under them as well as the males chase them. And another thing that I think is very important, I try to stick to, is I don't rush anything with my fish. I know some people when they breed, they'll do the like plop and drop method when they just add the fish right away, and I kind of slow down a little bit. I give the males a little bit of time to get temperature acclimated, then I let them have a little bit of quiet all alone time so they can get a little familiar with the tank and explore the tank. And I also keep both of the tanks carded, so there is some colored paper in the middle so the males don't see each other. This helps to prevent any stress. And then once the males are more comfortable and familiar with the territory, then I will be adding the females. So here is some sped up footage showing you on the left, the male is just getting used to his tank. He's exploring, he's checking out that nest where hopefully he will start to build a bubble nest, and then this male is ready to be released. I try to be gentle anytime I handle my fish, but I feel like his release was quite dramatic. And I think metaphorically, this is where he gets thrust into fatherhood. Or does he? We don't know, because we don't really know if he ended up spawning or not. That is something that you will have to find out in the next episode, and that will be available next week. So we will be adding the females, and we will see if they end up spawning or not, because when you breed bettas, you can't always guarantee if you will get a spawn. Sometimes pairs will not be compatible, sometimes the timing may not be right. There's a lot of things that can go right, and there's a lot of things that can go wrong. So find out how things turn out for me in the next episode.